Google just released an AI that doesn't need you to tell it what to do next. It figures out the steps on its own, and it's actually working. For years, we've heard about AI agents, these autonomous systems that could plan, execute, and solve problems without constant human handholding. Most of the time, they failed spectacularly. They'd get stuck, forget their goal, or go off on weird tangents. But Gemini 3.5 is different, and I need to show you why this matters way more than another GPT update. Let me back up. When we talk about agentic AI, we're talking about something fundamentally different from the chatbots you use every day. ChatGPT, Claude, even Gemini up until now, they're reactive. You ask them a question, they answer. You ask them to do a task, they do one thing. But an agent? An agent is proactive. It takes a goal, breaks it down into steps, tries those steps, checks if they worked, adjusts, and keeps going until it's done. It's like the difference between a person who answers questions and a person who actually gets things done. The problem has always been that AI agents hallucinate, they lose context, and they make terrible decisions about which tool to use or what step comes next. A study from earlier this year showed that most agentic AI systems failed about 40% of the time on multi-step tasks. That's not good enough for anything you actually care about. So agents stayed in research papers and labs. Nobody deployed them at scale. Now Gemini 3.5 changes that. And the reason is something called improved reasoning and tool use. Basically, Google's engineers figured out how to make this model way better at planning. It doesn't just grab the first tool it sees. It actually thinks about which tool is right for the job. It breaks down complex problems into smaller ones it can actually solve. And critically, it doesn't lose the thread. It keeps track of what it's done, what it's learned, and what it still needs to do. Here's what that looks like in practice. You could give Gemini 3.5 a goal like, book me a flight to Seattle next month, find a hotel within walking distance of Pike Place Market, and send the confirmation to my email. In the past, even good AI would either get stuck or it would book the flight, forget about the hotel, and then panic. Gemini 3.5 actually breaks that down. It knows it needs to search for flights. It does that. It checks the results. Then it moves to the next step. It uses a calendar tool to check availability. It uses a hotel search tool. It uses an email tool. And it does it all in sequence, passing information from one step to the next. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds nice, but why should I actually care? Here's why. The moment AI agents start working reliably, everything changes. Right now, knowledge workers do a ton of work that's not thinking. It's busy work. Scheduling, research, data entry, comparing options, writing emails, pulling together reports. These tasks require multiple steps and multiple tools, but they don't require genius. They require consistency and attention to detail. An agentic AI that actually works takes all of that off your plate. But it goes deeper. In the next year or two, you're going to see AI agents deployed in customer service. Instead of being routed to a human after 3 failed attempts, your problem actually gets solved by an agent that can access databases, process refunds, file tickets, and escalate intelligently. You're going to see them in sales, agents that research prospects, draft personalized outreach, and follow up automatically. In software development, agents that can write code, run tests, debug, and deploy. In research, in finance, in operations, everywhere. The scary part isn't that they'll be perfect. It's that they'll be good enough. Good enough to displace a lot of routine work. Good enough that companies will start using them to automate workflows that used to require 5 people. And because Gemini 3.5 is a Google product, it's going to be integrated into Workspace, into Android, into Chrome. It's not going to be some niche tool. It's going to be everywhere. There's also the question of what happens when these agents have access to more powerful tools. Right now, we're talking about booking flights and writing emails. But what if an agent has access to your bank account, your company's database, code repositories? The security and safety implications get real fast. Google is being careful about this, but the pressure to move fast and give agents more capabilities is going to be intense. Here's the thing that actually matters, though. The agentic era isn't coming in 5 years. It's starting now. Gemini 3.5 is the first mainstream AI that's reliable enough at multi-step reasoning that companies are actually going to build products on top of it. It's not perfect, it still makes mistakes, it still hallucinates sometimes, but the failure rate has dropped enough that the math works. And once the math works, adoption accelerates. So what do you do with this information? First, if you work in knowledge work, start thinking about which parts of your job are actually thinking and which parts are just following a process. The process parts are going away. Second, if you're building products or managing teams, start experimenting with agentic AI now. Not because you need to deploy it tomorrow, but because you need to understand what it can and can't do before your competitors do. And third, if you're curious about where AI is actually heading, this is the moment to pay attention. The chatbot era is ending. The agent era just started. If you want to actually keep up with AI without the hype, subscribe. I break down these shifts every few days, and honestly, understanding what's actually happening matters way more than knowing the latest ChatGPT feature.